NBA is where the toughest battles in sports happen, and in those nail-biting moments, players sometimes forget about following the rules and just push hard to win no matter what. That's when things get wild, and we see some of the craziest and yes, dirtiest plays ever in NBA games. We are about to show you the naughty, cheeky, and yes, dirtiest tricks ever pulled off on the NBA basketball court. It's like when you're playing a game and decide to bend the rules a bit to get ahead, except these guys did it in front of everyone watching. So let's check the most jaw-dropping, eyebrow-raising dirty plays in the history of the NBA. Starting from Dennis Rodman on Scottie Pippen. Now, the Pistons, they were known as the bad boys for a reason, and by 1991, they were feeling the pressure, running on fumes after years of battling deep into the playoffs. Dennis Rodman decided to pull one of the dirtiest play in history against Scottie Pippen. Picture it. The Pistons, those tough, bad boys, were trying to keep their crown, but the Bulls were hot on their heels. In the heat of the game with everyone watching, Rodman sees Pippen coming. Instead of just stopping him, Rodman thinks, let's make this memorable. And wow, did he? With a shove that could have pushed a car into a parking spot, Rodman sends Pippen flying into the stands. The crowd's jaws hit the floor. This wasn't just any shove. It was Rodman writing his name in the Dirtiest Plays Hall of Fame. It was the moment the Pistons' empire started to crumble, and the Bulls, well, they just got fired up. They turned that dirty play into fuel, and boy did they start a fire that led to their dynasty. That shove from Rodman, that wasn't just dirty, it was legendary. Next on number 2 spot for the dirtiest plays in NBA history, we've got a moment straight out of the WWE playbook, starring Michael McHale and Kurt Rambis during the fiery 1984 NBA Finals. Imagine this. The Lakers are charging down the court, eyes on the prize, and Rambis with those iconic first-gen sports goggles is about to score. Enter McHale, thinking, not on my watch. In a move that will make any WWE superstar proud, McHale unleashes the clothesline from hell on Rambis. That wasn't just a dirtiest play. It was a seismic shift that turned the heat up in the series, and maybe even tipped it in the Celtics' favor. This play wasn't just about stopping a fast break. It was about laying down the law, Celtic style. And those goggles on Rambis, they just added a touch of flair to the whole showdown. McHale's move showed that sometimes, to clinch the win, you've got to bring a little extra thunder. And boy, did he bring it! That clothesline, dirty, dramatic, and downright unforgettable. Next up, in our countdown of the NBA's dirtiest plays, we've got a tag team special featuring Bill Laimbeer and Rick Mahorn taking Larry Bird. This moment isn't just about the foul itself, it's the whole package. The drama, the rivalry, and the sheer intensity that these two brought to the court. Laimbeer and Mahorn, the bad boys' dynamic duo, were known for their intimidating presence. And let's be honest, they weren't winning any popularity contests outside of Detroit. During this infamous play, Bird, doing his best Bird thing, finds himself sandwiched between Laimbeer and Mahorn. But even after getting roughed up by these two towers of power, Bird just brushes it off and heads to the free throw line with the calm of someone deciding what to have for breakfast. It's like he's saying, is that all you got? This wasn't just a foul. It was a dirtiest play from the Pistons' most feared enforcers. A display of their gritty, no love lost style of play. And Bird? He just added this to his long list of reasons to come back even harder. This clash of titans wasn't just a moment. It was a chapter in the epic saga of NBA rivalries. Dirty, dramatic, and downright unforgettable. It's a play that perfectly encapsulates the fierce battles of NBA yesteryears. Charles Barkley showing us how it's done, 90s style. These days, Barkley is known as the wisecracking analyst on your screen. But back in the day, he was the king of the court's darker arts, especially after the Pistons' bad boys era wrapped up. Flashback to the climax of a heated 1994 playoff battle with the game's final seconds ticking away. Hakeem Olajuwon is about to rub salt in the wound by piling on the points against Barkley's Phoenix Suns. Barkley, not one to watch quietly, decides it's time to send a message. As Olajuwon rises for a dunk, Barkley steps in with a move that's anything but gentle, delivering a solid hit to Olajuwon's midsection. This isn't just playing tough, it's Barkley showing he's not here for any last-minute showboating. The aftermath? Classic NBA drama, with ejections flying faster than a Barkley one-liner, all served up with just over 7 seconds left in the game. This dirty play from Charles Barkley is a stark reminder of the lengths players will go to defend their pride. making it one of the most unforgettable moments in NBA Dirtiest play history. Next up in our tour through the NBA's Hall of Infamy, we've got a clash of titans. Well, more like a titan and a brave soul, featuring Shaquille O'Neal and Rodney Stuckey. Here's the scene. Shaq, the big Aristotle himself, standing tall as the immovable object under the rim. In comes Rodney Stuckey, fearless, determined, and about to learn a harsh lesson in physics. As Stuckey drives for the basket, he meets Shaq in midair. But let's be real, when you're 6'5", 205 pounds, and you collide with a 7-foot, 350-pound giant, you're not just meeting an obstacle, you're hitting a brick wall. This wasn't your typical dirty play. It was more of an unfortunate meeting of mass and momentum, with Shaq doing what Shaq does best, dominating the paint. And poor Stuckey, well, let's just say that encounter left a mark, both on the court and in the annals of what not to do when Shaq's guarding the basket. And while we just about still picking up the pieces of Stuckey, it's a stark reminder of the power and presence Shaq brought to the game, making this one of the most memorable mismatches in NBA history. Not dirty by intent, but certainly a disaster in the making. And a moment that's talked about with a mix of awe and a little bit of ouch. Alright, next on the line we have Jason Smith on Blake Griffin. Now everyone knows Griffin can practically take off from the free throw line. So how do you ground a man who defies gravity? Jason Smith had his own, let's say, unique approach to solving this conundrum. Picture this. Griffin's charging down the court, eyes on the rim, probably already thinking about his next highlight reel dunk. Smith, on the other hand, is thinking about something else entirely. How to stop Griffin in his tracks. And stop him he does, with a move straight out of a football playbook. As Griffin soars, Smith decides it's the perfect time for a shoulder block, hitting Griffin on the side where he least expects it. This wasn't just a dirty play, it was a statement, complete with Smith channeling his inner linebacker and running right through Griffin as if the basketball court was the final yard to the Super Bowl. Bonus points indeed for the element of surprise and the execution that had fans and commentators alike gasping. Jason Smith's shoulder block on Blake Griffin? It's a play that remains talked about not just for the impact, but for the audacity. Shaq's Lakers versus Duncan's Spurs. This game was starting with Shaq showing off his monstrous offensive skills, leaving the Spurs scrambling for answers. But as the game heated up, so did the tempers, transforming a competitive clash into a no-holds-barred melee. As the match progressed, what started as chippy exchanges quickly spiraled into outright dirty play, culminating in an all-out brawl. This wasn't your typical NBA scuffle where players pretend to throw punches while actually avoiding contact. Nope. These were real, hold your breath, close your eyes kind of punches. The kind that makes you glad you're watching from a safe distance. And then, as the benches cleared and chaos ensued, one fact became glaringly obvious. Nobody wanted to mess with Shaq. Can you blame them? Facing off against Shaq with fists the size of frying pans, it's less a basketball strategy and more a survival concern. And there you have it, some of the dirtiest plays in NBA history. Remember, these moments are just as much a part of the game's rich tapestry as the buzzer beaters and championship parades. Thanks for joining us on this trip down memory lane, revisiting the plays that pushed the limits, stirred the pot, and sometimes crossed the line. Until next time, keep enjoying the game in all its glory. The good, the bad, and the downright dirty.